Okay, so out of the response from Mr. Conconi that's contained within Exhibit 59 and also within Exhibit 116, where he discussed extensively the Westport experience, you don't challenge him at all or ask him what he's speaking about. Is that correct?
I don't see the word Westport Experience mentioned in my email.
So that would mean you did not ask him what Westport Experience he was referring to, correct?
In this email, I did not.
You didn't challenge the Westport Experience and his understanding of the Westport Experience, did you?
Well, what is his understanding of the Westport Experience?
I think he detailed it for you below. But you don't mention it in your email within Exhibit 116, right?
The word Westport Experience is not mentioned in my email.
I'm not asking you that. Did you challenge or ask him to clarify in any way what his understanding of the Westport Experience was?
No.
Did you ask him what he was referring to?
No.
Are you aware of what the Westport Experience refers to?
Yes.
And what is the Westport Experience?
Starts with on time, on budget construction. Leads to a fully founded yacht ready for delivery. A commissioning process, including a captain for orientation or to whatever level, to make an owner and their captain feel comfortable. To the best service in the world, immediate, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including holidays, and resolving a problem as fast as possible, with no questions asked.
Okay. Anything else?
That pretty much covers it. It's 100% satisfaction is probably the best way to just lump it all together. 100% satisfaction. It doesn't matter if it's through the build process or if they're having a problem after delivery. We'd put people on planes that afternoon to the Bahamas or around the world, to Europe. Didn't matter where. 100% satisfaction.
Your skill training experience is the problem you identified in paragraph 151 of Exhibit 107, inconsistent with best practices in the yachting industry.
Yes.
Why?
Because all gear should be accessible for inspection and service.
If you were purchasing Aurora, it'd be something that you would insist that PAE remedy?
Yes.
So this is a remediable issue?
I believe it is.
Based on your skill training experience, is the problem identified in paragraph 151 of Exhibit 107 something that you would have expected to be identified and resolved by PAE prior to delivering Aurora to the buyer?
Yes.
Let's take a look at page 18, paragraph 160. Paragraph 160 states, access to many of the vessel's HVAC air handlers is very difficult. The return air filters are, in most cases, installed facing away from the accessible side of the locker or compartment in which the air handlers are installed. Access to some air handlers requires disassembly of joiner work. This will make proper and convenient replacement of these filters difficult, if not impossible. Do you see that language?
I do.
You wrote that?
I did.
Is it true at the time you wrote it?
Yes.
Based on your skill training and experience, the problem you identified in paragraph 160 of Exhibit 107 below the inconsistent with best practices in the yachting industry.
Yes.
Why?
Because all gear should be accessible for service.
Based upon your skill training and experience, is the problem you identified in paragraph 160 of Exhibit 107 something that you would have expected to be identified and resolved by PAE prior to delivering Aurora to the buyer?
Yes.
Let's take a look at page 5, paragraph 18, which states the receptacle used for the pressure washer in the Portuguese bridge lacks GFI protection. While the pressure washer plug has integral GFI protection, the receptacle could be used for another appliance and should therefore be protected, period, capital A, period. Do you see that?
Yes.
Is that a true statement when you wrote it?
Yes.
Why does this matter?
Because GFI protection provides electrocution protection for people And it is particularly desirable in potentially wet areas, like weather decks adjacent to hatches that might give access to weather decks, any place something could get wet, essentially.
Based upon your skill, training, and experience, was the problem you identified on page 5, paragraph 18 of Exhibit 107 inconsistent with best practices in the yachting industry?
Yes.
Why?
Because it is an AC electrical outlet that is in close proximity to a weather deck or on a weather deck, and then, therefore there is the risk of electrocution.
Death.
Death, potentially death, yes.
Based upon your skill, training, and experience, is the problem you identified on page 5, paragraph 18 of Exhibit 107 something that you would have expected to be identified and resolved by PAE prior to delivering it to the buyer?
Yes.
And the problem identified on page 5, paragraph 18 of 107 is key coded as A, or critical, correct?
Yes.
And again, that's because of the risk of electrocution?
Yes.
Paragraph number 8 states, access to the master cabin escape trunk is very difficult, requiring removal of an overhead panel. There are no stairs or ladder. The hatch is heavy and not hinged, making practicing escape from it difficult. Providing a passenger knew it was there, use of this escape route is neither easy nor practical. And then the letter A. Do you see that language?
I do.
Is that a true statement at the time you wrote it?
Yes.
Why does this matter?
Well, clearly escape from a compartment would be critical in the event of fire or flooding.
Now, Mr. Connor asked you whether or not Aurora was sufficient to trust your life. Would you have trusted your life on Aurora to do the type of crossings that Mr. Connor described after discovering all the A items before any of them were repaired?
No.